What would this Sophia ship be?
It's what's described in the book of
So
Revelation.
it's this coming back.
It's the New Jerusalem.
Ah, okay.
It's a ship that, according to the measurements that the angel showed John, who is also the producer of the book of Revelation, John took a measuring rod, that's how it's described in Revelation, and the angel took John to measure the size of the New Jerusalem. So the number of cubits they measure there, the reference we can make is that the moon is at a distance of about 300 and a few thousand kilometers from the Earth.
Because the moon is about 144,000 kilometers.
Yes, at the closest point and at the furthest, that's it. But imagine a full moon. The ship...
400,000 kilometers? I don't remember.
If you parked at the same distance as the moon is from the Earth and turned on all its lights, it would be half a full moon. Then all eyes on Earth will see it.
I almost got it right. Almost 400,000 kilometers.
Exactly.
A friend of mine thought it was 400 kilometers. Dude, it's like, I'd go all the way to the countryside and I'd reach the moon.
Because it varies a bit.
Okay.
Up to 300,000 depending on... So, the moon's orbit around the Earth, imagining that distance, if Sophia's supership stopped at that distance, and why that distance? Because nothing that's thrown from the Earth will reach it. There's no danger of some crazy person here.
Of it getting hit.
What's the gossip? It's not just one of these ships. There will be several. Several. Some bigger than the Earth, some bigger than the moon. So it will be a day. When Earthlings will finally know that they are not alone in the cosmos, and then, in inverted commas, religions and governments will have a lot to explain to humans. But here's the thing. It was already supposed to have happened according to the gossip. But there are problems with these 9 beings who don't accept that. What has been created in this universe now is what will be the heir of the ages, as they say.
But it has to do with all this movement and people talking about the end of the world. Do you think there are enough signs for us to think that this cycle is ending or not?
But it's not the end of the world in those terms.
But it's not the end of the world.
The question is eschatological. End of era, end of time.
The end of one era to begin another. But what would that end be like? Would it be in the form of a nuclear war?
But the problem is, it seems so.
Fire?
You see, the most reasonable explanation is as follows. The Earth revolves around the sun, not with its axis, so the axis is tilted. So the sun is here and the Earth rotates in an inclined way, and this axis, like a pawn, makes a wobble that lasts about 26,000 years. So this is called equinoctial precession. In other words, the Earth makes 26,000 turns around the sun to complete its equinoctial precession, which would be the rotation of its axis. According to some mythologies, this equinoctial precession is sometimes divided into 5 eras or 4 eras. It doesn't matter. But the Hopi, for example, Indians, North Americans, various cultures, Hindu, Mayan, blah, 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 say the following. Each era is approximately 5,200 years. When one era is ending and the other is about to begin, shit happens.
Is it a change? Is it a...
So, we are then in the last era of this cycle to complete the cycle of equinoctial precession. The Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incas, which are 3 cultures generated by the Toltecs, inherited a calendar from the Toltecs that showed this. So they knew how to calculate what they were living through in the last period of those 26,000 years. But the Mayans, Incas, and Aztecs...
They put it as 2012?
They didn't know where they were in that last period, so... The Aztecs created human sacrifices to ask the gods to slow down the passage of time because they didn't want to reach at the last moment of this era, because they heard that in the other transitions, once fire fell from the sky and destroyed everything, and another time everything froze and everyone died.
Something
The
big was
last
going to
one
happen.
was the flood that killed everyone. So what now?
What?
That's the question. According to what we understand, it depends on what human free will creates.
It's decided.
It wouldn't be decided. It's such a future thing. And so, I don't know if we should go into that, but in the
Let's go.
Apocalypse, when the angel takes John to see Yahweh sitting on the throne and 7 sealed books, and John says, I wept copiously because I realized that neither the Lord seated on the throne nor any of the angels present there knew how to interpret the books. But the Lion of the tribe of Judah, who had just entered the room, that is Jesus, went and closed the 7 seals, and went on to explain to the Lord of Spirits what was actually going to happen.
7 seals, 7 chalices, 7 trumpets.
What the hell does that mean? Prophecies they predispose, but they don't impose. What is a prophecy? Imagine this piece of paper here, a road. When you're walking here, you look and you only see the next few kilometers. But if you imagine a mountain on the side,
Next to the line.
this is 100 kilometers, right?
So there's a line here.
I'm going to make a path here of 100 kilometers. Whoever is walking here at moment 0 can only see up to here.
Right.
But if there's a very high mountain here and there's someone here, they'll be able to see the whole 100.
He's on top of the mountain, okay.
Yes. Then that someone sees here that at kilometer 17 there's a tiger here that's hungry. Then he shouts to someone who is walking, attention hikers of kilometer 2, when you reach kilometer 17, hurry up, or a monster will devour you. That's a prophecy.
Okay.
It's a prophetic warning. Oh, what do the prophecies say? If the one who received the prophecy honors the prophecy, pays attention and acts on the warning, he escapes. Because he believes in the prophecy, then he will do something to prevent it. But if he doesn't, he'll walk around here like an asshole and the tiger will eat him. So the prophecies predispose, but they don't impose. The 7 books that were sealed there in front of Yahweh, which I describe in one of the books I've released called The Creator's Big Data, is the set of prophecies, the so-called codes of the Bible, from the first 5 books which Yahweh and his angels managed to obtain to create scenarios of the future, but neither Yahweh nor the angels could tell from the probabilities which one would actually happen. And so only Jesus, or rather only Hakma in his wisdom, could say, of all that is prophesied, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is not going to happen, this is not going to happen. The Apocalypse would be the book that contains only what will happen. That's why in quotation marks, if you look at chapters 18 and 19 of Revelation, you'll see that the theme is what? The fall of Babylon.
Yes.
In the book Cosmic Message, I wrote several pages on the interpretation of the fall of Babylon, the fall of the World Trade Center towers, which took place in 2001. Ah, the sad sailors on the ships looking at the smoke from the fire, all the business on earth stopped. Then, in this chapter, it says that nobody bought anything anymore because the stock market stopped, everything stopped. So the book of Revelation says that these events, what events? The fall of the 2 World Trade Center towers would cause wars. So there was the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, the Ukraine War. After that, the 7th angel would sound the 7th trumpet. And all the eyes that live on earth would see from above the clouds him, Chokmah, that is Sophia, that is Jesus in his heavenly version, in his heavenly form. So in theory, we are living in what the 11th chapter of Revelation says, that 2 witnesses would appear to warn the earth of this, and in theory, cosmic revelation fulfills this function. That's what I'm trying to do, but obviously my voice doesn't do much good because every human being is insignificant. There's no way we can, but it's just an attempt to shine a light on reflection. So in theory, what's missing? just the seventh angel playing the seventh trumpet because all the wars have happened, or is there still one to go, the war in Ukraine from a nuclear perspective, or another war?
And the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
No,
Hunger,
this is happening
war,
all the time.
disease.
So in theory, from the
Okay.
interpretation they gave me, that's all that's missing here.
What about the figure of the Antichrist?
This Antichrist runs more along the lines of the interpretation that many have given of what is written there. So Peter, in one of the epistles, John, in one of the epistles that together with Paul's 17 epistles make up the so-called New Testament, speak of figures who would work against Christ's wishes. This expression, Antichrist, is something interpreted by so-called biblical exegesis, but it's not necessarily biblical. This is something that the evangelical religions, their eschatologies have ended up putting forward, and this makes for a lot of sensationalism, but it doesn't really matter from the perspective of an accurate and adult perception of the facts. Antichrist is the one who works against the ideals of Christ.
Got it.
So all these people fit in. There are several of them. That's all there is here on earth. Antichrists at work, and many of them even do it quoting the name of Christ.
But it says that in the Bible too, doesn't it? He's going to show himself as Christ, but in reality he's the Antichrist.